Today on the Topping Show, Ilhan Omar gives seminars to illegals in order to tell them how to evade deportation. Costco eggs are flying off the shelf as the prices are skyrocketing. Reid is furious that Elon and DOGE is causing transparency. I break down the Costco shareholders after they vote 98% in favor of DEI, while most companies are moving away from it. Ayanna Pressley says Iowa is too white as the race baiting continues. Nissan wants to be equal to Honda in the merger, even though they're a fraction of the size and an even smaller fraction of the reliability rating. Aston Martin notes that consumers still want the glorious V12 engine, but governments all over the globe are killing it. And Toyota has to issue a recall due to bad welds. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with the fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Nissan wanting to be an equal to Honda in the merger or no deal at all, even though they're a fraction of the size and probably 1/100th of the reliability rating. It is actually astonishing that Nissan still exists after all these years. Now, I read a book a month, but I don't really have a book club, so to say. Let me know if you think I should. But two books I read in 2024 that kind of exemplify this situation would be Shift by Carlos Fong, or Phone is how you're supposed to pronounce it, where he did successfully turn around Nissan when they were on the brink of bankruptcy. They have a long history of making one or two really cool, good cars, and the rest mediocre, rudimentary, and usually, as the youth would say, problematic. Talking about those CVT transmissions from hell. There's a reason the Altimas have BAE energy, but usually can't go more than 10 feet. Now, the antithesis of that would be Driving Honda, one of my favorite books of 2024 by Jeffrey Rothbender. Talks about Citroen Honda and his founding of the company and how they've grown from making good old cylinder pistons, or piston rings specifically, to motorcycles, to cars, and beyond, with a couple, faux pas and, a couple bad things throughout the years. Don't get me wrong, no company is perfect. Shoot, even Toyota has recalls these days. But the fact that Nissan, who again is losing market share time and time again, they want to be equal to Honda is comical to say the least. Now, this is thanks to Ronan, who's a writer over at thedrive.com, in which he says, quote, Nissan wants a merger of equals with Honda or no deal. Honda, who's valued nearly 5 times more than Nissan, wanted to turn its rival into a subsidiary. Now Nissan has reportedly scrapped the union altogether, which I can only think, thank God, and hopefully, because, again, I love my good old 2018 Honda Civic Si. I mean, I love Honda partially because they're the #1 stick shift manufacturer on the planet in regards to units sold. Spoiler alert, Honda Civic for the win. But they're known for bulletproof reliability. They're not the fastest cars in the market. They're not the fanciest. You don't have 12 cows worth of leather in the seats and the upholstery, but they're darn near bulletproof and moderately stylish. I wish they made more coupes in fun colors like my green Honda, but I partially digress. Nissan, coming from the automotive community years ago, Nissan is known for Nissan Credit, which is known for giving you credit for a vehicle if you have a modicum of a pulse. Like if you go to a Nissan dealership and your heart beats more than twice per minute, they'll give you a loan for a car. You'll walk out with that Altima. You probably won't walk out happy because it's an Altima, but nevertheless, you will walk out with a new car with a warranty, which is something. But yeah, the fact that Nissan thinks, oh yeah, we want to be equals with Honda. Where does Nissan really excel? Not really crossovers or SUVs, which, while I don't like, are paramount and very important for the automotive community. That's where most of your profits come from. Crossovers, SUVs, and trucks. Nissan killed the GTR, which I think is foolish because that was your really cool Halo car, although it's only an automatic transmission, so disappointing. But they still have the Nissan Z, which allegedly passed production of the Supra though I've only seen like 1 or 2 Nissan Zs on the road in like 2 years. But they allegedly are out there and outselling the Supra, allegedly. Now, going to the article, they say, quote, the much hyped merger talks between Honda and Nissan are reportedly on the brink of collapse. Oh no. The two Japanese rivals predicted that they could instantly form the world's third largest car maker by joining forces. Yeah, largest by volume, not by quality. But a recent report claims Nissan is planning to end the negotiations after learning that Honda is interested in a full over takeover rather than a friendly tie-up that places both companies in equal footing, which, again, Nissan isn't coming from a position of power. They're the ones that are losing market share. I mean, there's such, especially in North America, again, the United States is one of the most important markets. California alone is the 10th largest automotive market on the planet, which is astronomical. That's why so many companies, unfortunately, acquiesce to their BS requirements to be in that state. But yeah, now they say, quote, citing anonymous sources, Reuters wrote that, quote, growing differences on both sides have complicated the talks, and the differences may be too big to overcome. One of its sources said that a major point of contention is how both automakers see the partnership. Honda allegedly asked Nissan to become a subsidiary, which was a, quote, departure from the original spirit of the discussions, and the idea set off a 5-alarm panic in Yakinoma, which, not purposely trying to mispronounce that if I am. They say Nissan's board members will meet, quote, in the near future to decide whether to continue the talks, according to Reuters, but it's not Honda. But if it's not Honda, it's likely to have to be someone else. Because again, they're so desperate, they have to sell out to someone, basically. Which, unfortunately, if you, again, great book by, what's it, Carlos Ghosn? I'm trying to see who's the specific author of Shift. Let me see here, really quick. Carlos Phone is actually how you pronounce it. Unfortunately, I think it might be an autobiography, maybe. But nevertheless, in this book, which again took place a couple decades ago, he did revive the company with the most coolest thing at the time would be bringing back the Z, which at the time was the 350Z, which is awesome. He brought back the company, but one of the biggest issues was high cost, low quality, which they fixed temporarily, but later with the CVT transmissions, lost all semblance of any reliability rating by anyone with modicum of intelligence. Though again, still cheap Japanese car, and more reliable than American cars. Granted, that bar is pretty darn low these days. Now they say, quote, Nissan is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Its sales are falling in key markets, and it's in serious debt. And its problems will be compounded with tariffs that the Trump administration has threatened to impose on Mexico manufactured goods. Walking away from Honda could very well give Foxconn an opening to persuade a hostile takeover again, as reported late last year. At this time, Nissan might not have a more attractive offer to hold off the Taiwanese tech giant. As for Honda, it has a market value that's nearly 5 times larger than Nissan's, which might be why it holds enough to reportedly flex its corporate muscles. And while Nissan claims to have a turnaround plan, this isn't supposed to be a comedy part of the show, but the stuff they're writing here is funny. A Nissan turnaround plan? Yeah. Sources say Honda has been worried about the progress being made. Yeah, because rudimentary progress, to say the least. Unsurprisingly, shares of Honda have increased by 8% on the Tokyo Stock Exchange by the end of trading, while Nissan's slid by 4%. Ouch. They see neither company has officially commented on the report or how the merger talks are progressing, but they previously said that they provided an update in mid-February. We can't help wonder if Mitsubishi, which seemingly left out of negotiations, received a similar offer to Nissan's, which they didn't like, which, yeah, Mitsubishi, God bless them, I have no idea how they're still in business. They used to make iconic vehicles. I mean, yes, there's a little nostalgia with the Fast and Furious series, but the Eclipse, fun little 4-banger with a stick shift. I mean, the Lancer Evo, thing of legend. But now they make anemic, boring crossover SUVs that, more importantly, don't sell. I know there's a reason every company makes crossovers, SUVs, and trucks. Very profitable, very important for the market. I understand. But I'm a little bit of a gearhead, so I want things with 3 pedals and make me smile, personally. But, I mean, Mitsubishi, they're only known for the Mirage, which I will credit them from an engineering manufacturing perspective to make a new car under $20,000, and it got 40 plus mile per gallon, was not a hybrid. It had 3 cylinders of glory. It allegedly got to 0 to 60 in before you die. But for the bang for your buck with a new warranty, it was a really compelling car. A lot of people make fun of it because, it handles like crap. It looks rudimentary and pathetic. But again, I'll give them some credit. The Mitsubishi Mirage was a good thing for the segment they were going after. Unfortunately, they're getting rid of that car. I mean, with dealer discounts, you're getting a new car for $15,000 in like 2022 and 2023. That's insane. That's really, that's so rare. Only 2 to 3 other, actually, I think only one other car had that capability. I think it's a Nissan, is it the Versa or the Sentra? something to that effect. But now Mitsubishi, I don't know who is buying. I have many friends. I don't know anyone who has a Mitsubishi. I know, like, I at least have one friend of most major car companies, or they have one. But let me know in the comments. Do you know anyone who has a Mitsubishi in 2025? Lord knows I don't. But yeah, we'll see if these negotiations break down. But again, Nissan is desperate. And again, it's a very tangled situation. They're also entangled with Renault, which is entangled with the French government, with the government owning parts of it. So it's a very sticky situation. So they're saying some of those folks might not agree with these things, and maybe they're pushing things or pushing for different directions behind the scene. But I mean, they've had so many issues for so many years at Nissan. If I was in charge of Honda, I would ask, what is a compelling business reason to buy them? Again, Honda is worried about losing market share with EVs. That's why they're putting so much research and development into it, which personally I think is a detriment to the brand. Time shall tell. But I know Honda is worried about losing some market share. But why buy Nissan? What's the compelling, of the whole portfolio? You have the Z, which has some enthusiasm. People will buy that. That's good to get brand awareness, but it's a very low volume units being sold. It's a sports car, understandably. But I mean, what is Nissan known for today? You have the Altima, which again sold pretty good for a sedan. Again, that's an important part of the market, but not as profitable as the crossovers, EVs, or SUVs and trucks. And that's where Nissan really struggles. Trucks are very hard to get into, especially if they have the lifted trucks that are 12 feet off the ground, pun intended. But in terms of the trucks market being dominated by the big three and Toyota, it's hard to get in that market. That's why Nissan has been there. I'll give them credit. They've got a good V8. I have a friend with that. He likes it. But they never really got a big majority or a really significant portion of the sales in North America for trucks, which is why I suspect they're discontinuing the Titan. But yeah, I think it's kind of comical. Nissan wants to negotiate, be like, hey, we're going to be equals. It's like, why? But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Aston Martin noting that people still want the glorious V12 engine, but governments are killing it. Yet another reason to vote for small governments that don't want to take away our freedom. In this case, good old big manly engines. And I'll die only a little bit inside if you don't know that comedy sitcom reference to Tim Allen. Come on, folks. Let me know in the comments. Give me some faith in humanity. Now, this comes to us thanks to motor1.com. And let's see here. Oh. Most useless invention ever. Touchscreens for laptops. I swear 9 times out of 10, they don't work properly. But then again, the human error is definitely there. And shoot, if there was no human error, that'd be probably half my IT job gone. So I can't complain too much about that. Now, here you can see the glorious engine. Specifically, this article is credited to Adrian, who's a writer there, saying, Aston Martin says emissions regulations are killing the V12. The 12-cylinder powerhouse dies at the end of the decade. Unless Europe and the UK grow a pair and stop voting for big, evil government. Fine, you lazy Brits. Get off your rear end and primary your leadership or whatever. You got James Bond in your country. How neutered have you become? Like, oh, we're not going to make the V12 anymore. These companies have become so pathetic and neutered. I mean, Germany, that government is so evil and corrupt. I can't but wonder if they're in bed with China. They're kneecapping their automotive community. Some of the best car companies on the planet are headquartered in Germany. You got Mercedes, obviously, not too many steak shifts, but still cool cars. But they also make V12s. But you have, more importantly, you got Porsche, Volkswagen. You have so many brands there. And Porsche is killing some cars because of EU regulations. When Germany is carrying the EU on his back. Yet they're acquiescing, saying, oh yeah, we'll bow down to your cybersecurity and your emission standards, which is the direct reason why they say they're killing the iconic Cayman. But back to Aston Martin, they're known for 2 things. Well, maybe 3. James Bond, I would argue that's probably 80% of the reason people care about the brand, because it's been the hero car in so many iconic films. Let's be honest, that's probably why most guys buy it. You want to be James Bond. But they're also known for beautiful design, handcrafted, and beautiful, great big engines. I think the smallest at Aston Martin was the V8. And again, there's something, the exhaust note of a V12 twin turbo Aston Martin is almost like an orchestra. It's so beautiful. Now, unfortunately, they're letting the government kill it. Now, Adrian says, quote, last year, Alex Long, Aston Martin's director of product strategy, spoke the simple truth what enthusiasts really want, big engines. The bigger and the powertrain, the more it creates a, quote, true emotional connection between the driver and the car. But time is running out on these, quote unquote, dinosaurs of the automotive industry. Even though the Vanquish has a new V12, the harsh reality is that the twin-turbo 5.2-liter powerhouse won't live past 2030. Unless you vote differently and, write to your politicians, get off your keisters. Again, can't but think Trump has already kneecapped a lot of EV regulations in the U.S. or the EV crap being pushed upon us or forced upon us. Yeah, come on, Europe, get off your keister. They say Aston Martin CEO Adrian Hallmark told Drive magazine that a constant supply of venerable V12 engines will end by late 2028. Ultimately, the large displacement gas engine will die around 2030. Although the Gaydon-based supercar maker is actively tweaking its flagship ICE to meet emissions regulations, the end is inevitable, and there's not much Aston Martin can do to save it. You not have lobbyists in Europe? Come on. People always talk crap about lobbyists. They do some good for us. In this case, maybe they could save the automobile. I mean, look at that massive V12 under that engine bay. I mean, Lord knows I wouldn't want to be the one working on that. There's about 2 cubic inches of spare space over there to work on it. But again, in terms of a handcrafted work of art, that's beautiful. They say the company does have some leeway by getting degradations on low volume products in some parts of the world. Even so, provided regulations stay the same next few years, hopefully they won't, Aston Martin projects that it will likely sell its last V12 in just 5 years from now. In the meantime, it comes as no surprise that Hallmark says customers are, quote, absolutely drawn to the new Vanquish with its monstrous 820 horsepower heart. Just imagine how much more oomph the engineers would have been able to extract had it not been for tougher emission regulations, kneecapping and neutering them. Well, I added that last part, but let's be honest, that's what they're doing to them. They say, sadly, the V12 is an endangered species, with only a few automakers still cramming 12 cylinders under the hoods of their cars. Ferrari puts a naturally aspirated 6.5-liter unit in its 12-cylinder array, and Porpoise, kidding, it's pronounced maybe Puro Sangu, while Lamborghini does the same with their Volto. You can still get a Mercedes S-Class with a twin-turbo 6-liter V12, as long as you step up to a fancier Maybach version. The AMG division supplies a variety of twin-turbo 6-liter V12 to Pagani Utopia as well. BMW hasn't sold a V12 7 Series for several years, which, again, there's such a cool beauty about back in the day, which, shoot, now the 90s is probably considered that. I mean, BMW had, like, so many sleepers you wouldn't even realize. You'd see, like, a regular-looking BMW sedan. It's like, oh, yeah, it's got V10 in there. The other one's got V12. Like, so cool. We didn't know what we had until they stole it away from us. Now they say, quote, but a variation of the BMW engine lives on in the Rolls-Royce Ghost, Cullinan, and Phantom, which, again, BMW owns them. Niche brand Gordon Murray Automotive deserves an honorable mention, but the T33 and T50, with their naturally aspirated Cosworth 4-liter engines, are long sold out, which perhaps is only second to the more iconic Gordon Murray automobile, the McLaren F1, obviously, with a BMW powertrain. 12 cylinders of glory, the fastest naturally aspirated V12 in history. They say, speaking of the Cosworth-powered V12 cars you can't buy anymore, there's Aston Martin's own Valkyrie. During their interview, Hallmark said that we're witnessing a final push for V12s in the automotive industry as buyers seek to own the pinnacle of powertrains. Which, yeah, it's so sad. And again, if people were to vote this way, I mean, people always wonder why I mix the topics of, or the categories of politics, culture, and business, because they're all entwined. If there's no government intervention, they'd be making these V12s pretty much indefinitely because that's what the consumer wants. It's what they demand. It's what they love. It's what's unique about them. I mean, no one wants an Aston Martin with 4 cylinders. That'd be a joke. Mercedes is finding this out the hard way, where they try to have a AMG 4-cylinder luxury sedan, which is trash because it's drastically underpowered and not what the consumer wants. Again, there's a time and place for everything. For the inline-4 engine, that place is the Honda Civic Si. I love it. It's had that powertrain for decades. Only comes in a stick shift, so I admire that. But yeah, no one wants a 4-cylinder in like an Aston Martin. It's like removing the heart. And Lord knows, 3 people want that in EV mode. So again, we are seeing some dramatic moves in politically speaking when it comes to rules and regulations, especially in the United States. But this is why you really need a global movement where, not to get conspiracy theories, but maybe there's a global movement to control us in terms of, well, what are EVs really good at? Oh yeah, being good old hacked. So they could be remotely shut off. But again, it'd be nice if people came together in a global community and says, and just vote differently, vote for smaller government that isn't trying to destroy the automotive industry. Again, the fact that Germany is, again, I know this is, in the UK, this is, English engineering, British engineering, yada, yada, yada. But when I think of the large displacement engines and really companies that make really exciting, fun ICE vehicles that aren't US based, it really is Germany. They got all the fun toys over there. And the fact that they're acquiescing to like the EU regulations is so pathetic. Again, when Germany carries the whole darn near continent on its back. But I partially digress. I really do hope things change because, again, there's unless maybe I win the lottery or get like they call it a bluebird in sales, where you get a big sale out of the blue. Statistically speaking, there's a very, very, very low chance I could ever afford an Aston Martin in these next 5 years. But like, man, someday I would love to have 12 cylinders of glory, especially with a stick shift. That is such a rare, beautiful thing. And shoot, those old cars are going for so much. There's only a couple new ones left. I mean, shoot, if you want a Lamborghini, what was it? What was it? The LP640 with a stick shift is going for like $1 million now. That's how rare and that's how valued the V12, the stick shift, is, really valued and found. But let me know in the comments. I mean, perhaps I'm foolishly optimistic, but I have some hope that large displacement gas engines will be around, at least the United States, for a while. So I think U.S. manufacturing will, again, GM just invested, what was it, about $900 million last year into the newer V8 that they're developing. So again, there's some research and development behind it. And with Trump in charge, I think you're going to see the market shift in much more friendly ways for ICE engines. But we'll see what happens in Europe. And again, this is a global issue. The government's bullying us. But let me know in the comments because, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have Costco eggs flying off the shelf as prices are skyrocketing and people are going crazy. Reason number 9,958,735,003 not to live in a city and live in a nice farm in the middle of nowhere where you can have some nice, chickens to make eggs. Someday, I'm renting right now in a little suburb. I really do aspire the dream to have my own ranch, or at least not living in an HOA, so you can actually, have your own chickens and make your own food. But I partially digress. This comes to us thanks to Really American. Suspicious profile. Can't believe it's a Chinese in disguise. Really American? Are they really? Now, it's alleged American. They even have the American flag emojis. Too much, I tell you. Now, they say, quote, breaking frantic customers are now panic buying massive amounts of eggs at Costco, just like they did for toilet paper during the pandemic, or they say during Trump's last term. This is only beginning of the chaos, which, yeah, I don't know about that, but people are buying them in droves, with some people literally doing a whole Costco cart, which is already ridiculously large, could fit at least one American inside the cart. It's all the way to the top and above with cartons of eggs. So, looks like, how many cartons is that? So it's basically 2 cart worths, because they have the whole cart up to the brim and then stacked even higher. Which, I mean, good luck driving home with all that. You better be a very careful driver, because, well, I suppose at least if you were in an accident, heaven forbid, it'd be moderately entertaining to have all those eggs, running everywhere, which, be kind of entertaining. Now they're claiming in the video that Costco put out, or the employees at Costco put out these eggs, and they're all gone in less than 10 minutes, which I'm not surprised when you have literally a couple folks filling up their whole carts with these eggs, which, I mean, from a cultural perspective, is fascinating to see when people freak out about a specific product category. The demand goes to the roof and people just do this type of hoarding. I don't know if they're going to sell these on the Facebook marketplace. Maybe try to, I mean, a couple years ago, the egg prices did go up dramatically and it was almost comical how much people are paying for it, and heartbreaking too, because it's grocery cost. And we'll see how much this affects, shoot, I love to get those. I have one of the few luxuries I appreciate is the egg white in a carton from the Walmart brand, which, yeah, I know it's cheaper just to buy the actual egg. And well, shoot, maybe I'll do that we'll see what the price per unit is. But yeah, we'll see how much that affects those prices. And it went pretty viral. It's got about 100,000 views and 3,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Elon Made Me Join. Says, quote, stupid people, this solves nothing. It only adds to the problem. Getting 10 likes, which, yeah, a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that regard. Someone by the name of So What says, quote, Costco needs to handle the price gouging. That's the only reason that man was loaded his cart. Grammar be damned. I'm reading it exactly how they said it. It baffles me that they don't have a limit of 2, as does every other single grocery store around. I can't speak for Maryland anyway. Well, who would? They got 4 likes. John Lansbury says, quote, my last visit to Costco, the egg coolers have been filled with other items. There were no eggs for sale. Getting 13 likes. There's also an issue with the bird flu going around lately past couple of weeks, with some of the farmers having to put them down, unfortunately. Tim says, quote, sorry. Likely business owners who actually run through many eggs in less than a week, getting 7 likes, which, I know a lot of small businesses that will go to the Costco for their bulk items for, like, local restaurants, mom and pop operations. I don't think that's I don't know. I'd be interested to see the breakdown. I know obviously those are big part customers that shop at Costco, but I wonder, again, it's very small anecdotal evidence, but I wonder how many people in those videos are actually like business owners that need them, not just for themselves. Russ Helm says, quote, could be a, could it be a lot of those are small businesses and restaurant owners getting 6 likes? Good point. You also have Good to Go Joe saying, quote, not sure why they're going to be able to eat all those eggs in 5 weeks, which, I mean, I could. That's a big part of my diet, but the average person, or, I mean, I'm a little bit of a health nut. I've been eating egg whites for a couple of years. Pretty darn quick, easy meal. Now, nevertheless, he says, quote, this is even dumber than the toilet paper thing because the eggs go bad. These kind of people just make awful idiots, getting 17 likes, which, oh, if I go through a couple cartons a week, I wonder, 5 weeks? It's not, that's your main part of your diet. It's not very low probability, but not completely inconceivable if you work out and you're kind of a health nut. But yeah, I mean, I didn't say any bodybuilders or, anyone like that in pictures there. We do 1 or 2 more. Bridget Aviers says, quote, my last 2 Costco visits haven't been able to find eggs. Now I understand. Getting 5 likes. So we'll see. Let's see 1 more. Anna Green says Costco needs to limit getting 10 likes, which, they might. Oh, 1 more. This got 178 likes. I'm not sure why it wasn't at the top. Now, this one says, quote, Steve saying, quote, unless they're selling them out of their trunk of their own car or van, these eggs are going to go bad. You can't freeze them. Have you ever had frozen scrambled eggs? Getting 178 likes. Is that something? I didn't know that's a thing. You can't freeze eggs. I've never tried. I suppose they would explode because they would expand. Might be the most boring episode of Mythbusters, but maybe that could be a myth. I don't know if it is or not, but yeah, anecdotally speaking, haven't seen that around, where I live. Granted, I mostly shop at the Walmart, but yeah, let me know if you think this will, last more than a couple weeks or trend that much longer, but let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Joy Reid that is furious that DOGE is causing transparency. Heaven forbid Elon takes the mask off what government is wasting our money on. Which, spoiler, seems like damn near everything. And then some. Now, this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, which she says, quote, Trump derangement syndrome, Elon derangement syndrome, DOGE derangement syndrome. Joy Reid has severely infected with all of them, which perhaps is one of the most ironic names I've heard of in a couple decades. Joy Reid, the most joyless person on the internet, or I don't know, she's on MSNBC, so on the tube, which I guess I am the only person I know who has a tube TV, but I partially digress. Maybe Lives of TikTok is being too bombastic. Maybe Joy Reid will make some very articulate, very intelligent cases and statements, and she'll blow our minds. Probably not, but we'll dive on in.
But we begin tonight with a full-on crisis in our democracy.
Oh no.
As federal workers are literally locked out of their offices while operatives working for a private citizen essentially take over our government. Their tactics include turning off our federal websites, deleting government-funded research that you, the taxpayer, paid for to impose speech codes.
Oh, speech codes. Oh, you mean like deleting all the censorship and all the made-up terms that they've come up past couple years?
Bullying news organizations by demanding interview transcripts.
Yeah, because Kamala Harris is one of the biggest cover-ups of all time. Maybe we'll go over they actually released a 60-minute interview. And yeah, she fumbles over her words and stutters more than me, which is saying something. So yeah, it'd be nice if we had transparency where we could actually see, oh dear God, we dodged that big of a bullet. Yeah.
Implementing an FBI purge, locking federal workers out of their computers, and even turning them away at their offices while giving themselves, without congressional or any other authorization, full access to the personal data
Trump?
Of tens of millions of Americans.
Personal data. Not sure we know she's not of high intellect, but yeah, if you're a government employee, anything you do on that computer, spoiler alert, that's not your data. You've generated data on the government's network, on the government's laptops. Very, very similar to corporate America. Again, that's why I always tell people the email stands for evidence. Be careful what you say or send. But yeah, everything you do on a corporate laptop, that's their intellectual property. That's their stuff. It's not you. You're not entitled to privacy on it.
Including Social Security recipients, FBI agents and officials, military and government contractors, and every single employee of the federal government. All of that data in private hands that you did not authorize, even if you voted for Donald Trump. This as Trump installs unqualified minions at the heads of every federal agency.
Unqualified. Never forget, Democrats installed someone to lead the HHS who was a biological man who believed he was a woman. That was who they chose for a qualified health professional. That's one of a myriad of blunders that they made. Yeah. Or like California, who they elected people who didn't realize you needed water to put out fires. They literally ran out of water during the fire. Yeah. Which side chooses people who are not qualified? Joyless Reid?
They wouldn't stop this even if they knew how.
Well, let me rewind that really quick.
Every federal agency, knowing that they wouldn't stop this even if they knew how. At least when he's not threatening multiple trade wars or vowing to launch a new age of American imperialism by colonizing the indigenous people of Greenland.
Indigenous people of Greenland? What? She makes it sound like they've never had society there, the indigenous people of Greenland. Yeah, spoiler, they kind of want to get out of the current situation they're in because the government is pretty oppressive.
Vowing to launch a new age of American imperialism by colonizing the indigenous people of Greenland and the Panama Canal. All while congressional Democrats...
America Canal! I mean, yet another ineptitudes of Jimmy Carter. Again, I do appreciate Jimmy Carter and the fact that he did Habitat for Humanity, so he built houses when he retired. He did good in that regard, but perhaps one of the worst presidents of history, the only one perhaps worse, debatably, Joe Biden's still worse, but yeah, the American people, we paid for the Panama Canal, and then Jimmy Carter decided to give it away? Ridiculous. So you're going to rename it to the American Canal, the best, the greatest, the biggest.
Democrats issue strongly worded letters, plus holding a press conference today, and congressional Republicans sit back and let the federal government they work for collapse all around them, while they occasionally beg Trump for tariff mercy for their states. If this were happening in any other country right now, I promise you, I'd be on the air calling it a coup. This was the scene today at the United States Agency for International Development, better known as USAID.
Better known as the biggest money laundering BS on the planet.
Where protests erupted after workers were ordered by email, if they could even access their emails, to not report to the office and to work from home instead, despite the so-called DOGE directives just a week ago that all workers must work from the office 5 days a week. A group of Senate and House Democrats were blocked from even entering the agency's headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we're finding out how much money they laundered. A lot of it was immoral, to say the least, and basically just a giant psyop. Yeah, spoiler alert, the government paid all the big mainstream media to do what they wanted to do. Which, again, Joy Reid should be furious about that. Anyone morally or moral intelligent would be, but of course she isn't. Now this went moderately viral, about 400,000 views and 15,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from AKA simply saying, quote, she needs to go find the Trump Derangement Syndrome Center that Rob Reiner is attending. Getting 176 likes. I forgot that guy was still around. Libercat Media TM says, quote, Elon Derangement Syndrome is real. It's a guy freaking out on the floor getting 38 likes. Paul Zupa says Joe Reid has TED syndrome, getting 30 likes. Jeff D. Bishop says, quote, the disease is real. And it's Joyless Reid sitting in a wheelchair looking sicker than usual, getting 34 likes. Obviously, it's an AI image. Embarrassed to be Human has a picture of Joyless Reid in a straitjacket, getting 9 likes. AI again. Let's see here. Carol Wingarter says, quote, if Trump rescued a child drowning in the sea, liberals would accuse him of starving the sharks, getting 101 likes, which, yeah. Yeah, the big picture saying, oh, I have to update this meme now, or meme. It says the real pandemics. It has a picture of a girl with about half of the, no, 3/4 of the Walmart hair dye products on her head and blue lipstick. As youth might say, I believe that is sus. And it says woke mind virus. You have the famous gal who broke down and cried like a child during the 2016 election and says Trump derangement syndrome. Then you have the creepy guy who would steal women's lingerie and clothing from airports who somehow had access codes to U.S. nuclear stuff. Well, that person is labeled gender dysphoria. And then you got Harry Sisson is labeled as low testosterone, getting 38 likes, which, fact check, yeah, true. You also have Debbie saying, quote, crisis in our democracy. The people overwhelmingly voted for Trump. Fact check, true. Both the popular vote as well as the Electoral College. he's doing exactly what he ran to get voted on. That's democracy, getting 31 likes. Yep. Proud American also says, wait until she sees this picture. And Trump famously signing the executive order banning men from competing in women's sports. And all the girls around him giving him accolades are very happy. Very unusual to see a president with all those young girls around him who's not sniffing them or grabbing them creepily. That's a first in like 4 years. That also got 118 likes. Let's see. Lane says, quote, U.S. government vessels can now transit the Panama Canal without charge fees, saving the U.S. government millions of dollars per year. Which, yeah, we should never have been paid those to begin with. And it says the Panama Canal, the government of Panama has agreed to no longer charge fees for the U.S. government vessels to transit the Panama Canal. This saves the U.S. government millions of dollars per year, getting 16 likes, which, again, we built the damn thing and guard half the world with our military. You'd think we should get some discounts and perks. Seemingly we don't. We seem to give more money to every other country on the planet than actual money to, help U.S. citizens, but I partially digress. You also have the state of debate saying, quote, she can't stand Trump, Musk, or DOGE. Too bad for her. They're all winning, getting 10 likes. Yep. Fight with memes, A+ for marketing. They did in fact respond in meme form. Says, quote, she's just mad because she's going to lose her political funding. Yeah. It says, Joy Reid is so upset she's refused to wear her Trump wig. Getting 187 likes, which, yeah, it's kind of suspicious. She hates Trump so much, and yet that wig looks suspiciously like Donald Trump's wig. I'm sure he would say, before her hair was the best, the greatest, the golden glory, almost as good as me, in fact, some might say. I'm pretty sure Trump probably said that about her. Also have Fight with Memes saying, quote, they can shut down every federal worker in the country out of their office indefinitely, and nothing of value would be lost, getting 77 likes, which, yeah, it is funny how every time there's a federal government shutdown, I can't think of a single person I know anecdotally through our friend circles and groups that has ever been negatively affected in any way. You also have 21 million saying, quote, Trump was impeached twice. How did they already let him win again? Getting 6 likes. So perhaps a contrarian statement. I had to scroll quite some time. Was this Chansu Benyon? Says, quote, here's the red-pilled version of Joy Reid on The View with Trump hair, getting 3 likes. Oh, let's see. We'll do one more. Viral Architect says, quote, cry harder, commie. And it says, the life cycle of a Democrat. And it's just a baby, and it says, it's just labeled baby, teen, adult. And it's just all 3 pictures of baby crying, getting 13 likes. Which, yeah, I mean, in terms of productivity from the country, imagine how many man hours are lost because leftists cry like children when they're really technically legally adults. I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of time that they're not working, even more than usual, where they're just sitting and crying after, and, putting that on the TikTok. I mean, how many hours? I mean, that very well might contribute to a significant portion of GDP. I'm kidding. Most of them don't have jobs, but I'm only partially jesting. We'll see if she ever, I mean, let me know. Are you really irate that this is happening in terms of, more DOGE transparency? And yeah, of all those federal employees, how many of them do you think actually help the average American out? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, I want to do an analysis of the Costco shareholders after 98% of them voted in favor of keeping DEI policies. Now, this is one of those things where, yeah, I've never seen a vote. I mean, perhaps the only time I've seen a vote more than 98% is when I did a vote on the YouTube, where I did a post where I asked people, do you think, Bill Burr said California is doing a great job managing the fire? And I asked people, do you think California is doing a good job managing the fire? And 100% of people said no. Granted, a very small sample size, about 48 votes, I believe, but nevertheless, the first time in years I've seen over 95% of darn near anything. Now, Costco, again, that was 98% voted in favor of it, which is astronomical. And again, this is not financial advice, but it looks like the stock market isn't too upset with that vote either. Now, this is, again, ridiculously successful. Again, so you guys always have to be careful with single variable analysis. This isn't the only reason the stock is growing. Their sales are going up. It's a great place to save money. There's a reason so many people have memberships there. I mean, again, not financial advice. Talk about lost business opportunity. In 5 years, their stock has gone up 234%. I mean, it's now over $1,000 for one share. That's bigger than Apple and CrowdStrike and all the big players. Bigger than Microsoft. Granted, per share, not market cap, but to me it still is nearly unfathomable. It's over $1,000 per share. Even Amazon isn't that much per share, but I mean, look at that chart. It's going up like Nvidia. In the past year, it's gone up 46.72%. Year to date, 14.63%. Past month, 13%, which, again, talk about just astronomical to the moon. Now, that being said, I was kind of wondering, so many people voted in favor of this. How's this possible? Is it because of institutional shareholders like we've seen before? Is it because there's so many individual shareholders? Is it similar to other companies where the founder of the company has a very big stake in the company still, like Elon, who is still the largest individual shareholder of Tesla, which again means you have a lot of sway in the vote? Well, spoiler, it looks like all the big players are there. Now, this is thanks to the Grok or Grook. I forget how you pronounce the AI from X, or as 5 people probably still call it, Twitter. But I simply asked it, who are the top shareholders of Costco? And in terms of institutional shareholders, these probably sound pretty familiar. Vanguard, they are the largest shareholder with approximately 9.3% to 9.4% of all the shares, which that is astronomical to say the least. And again, that's a big DEI. Well, they're a financial institution, yada, yada, but they are one of the ones who heavily believe in DEI and all those initiatives. They actually look at it as a barometer of should they invest in a company. And once they buy into the company, they want to expand those initiatives, those ideologies. Now, you also have, spoiler, well, not really. Who would have thought it? BlackRock. They're at 7.5 to 7.6% of all the shares. They're the second largest shareholder. And then, of course, you have State Street as the third largest, coming in at 4.1 to 4.2%. Now, I was actually shocked. The CEO, well, as an individual, obviously is rich because it's a lot of money in terms of the shares. In terms of the percentage of the company, not as big as I thought. So they say among individual shareholders, Craig Jelinek, who's the CEO of Costco, he has a significant but relatively small portion of the shares. However, the exact number of individual shareholders like Jelinek can vary, but generally less than 1% of all the shares. Which, yeah, that's pretty interesting to say the least. Now, they also have the ownership of the Costco shows significant institutional investment, with largely 69 to 70% of shares owned by institutions. That indicates that institutional investors have a substantial influence in the company's direction. They also claim that no single individual holds a majority interest, with the top 25 shareholders collectively owning less than 50% of the share register, highlighting a broad base of investors. Individual insiders own less than 1% of the company, reflecting typical patterns for large corporations where institutional investors dominate. Which, yeah, I'm not surprised why. Now, why would they vote overwhelmingly in favor of DEI? Well, all the big players of the company are very much in favor of it. And again, when it comes to a lot of the major investors, a lot of them, I mean, it's almost like cliche, but if you ever watched the show Billions, which was good until they had the John Wick guy in there, but nevertheless, Billions is a pretty good show in which they talk about, also all about investing and mostly more of the vacuous insider trading, but they note the importance of institutional and union investors like the public sector, like the fire departments, the police unions. They have billions of dollars, in which they never actually pay out in terms of, police get sued. Of course, that money comes from us, not their fat pensions and unions, but I partially digress. Well, they have huge influences, and a lot of them very much more left-leaning on average. So, again, it's not too surprising that they would vote accordingly or in that way. And also, in terms of individual shareholders, like if you or I were to buy that stock, a lot of the folks I know who do own stock, it's almost worse than voting president in terms of the percentage of people actually are active. I only know a couple of them who actually get off their keister and read the email and go vote on those initiatives. Again, you vote on everything from, CEO salary to, board director nominations, policies. And a lot of people just are absent. They just don't vote at all. So unfortunately, with this recent development, I couldn't see an actual percentage of participation votes. Like, did 100% of all the shareholders vote? Well, surely not. But of the people who did vote, 98% of them did vote in favor of DEI. Now, culturally speaking, we've seen a lot of companies acquiesce from DEI, moving away from it. It's becoming less and less popular as more and more people see, the controversy around it. So I was pretty surprised that they still leaned into it. Again, they're also a West Coast company, headquartered in Seattle. And we'll see if they change their policies, if there's any major pushback. Now, I don't suspect, let me know in the comments if you think differently, I don't suspect there's going to be a major blowback in terms of I don't think there really be much of a boycott. The only competitor, realistically speaking, for big bulk groceries is Sam's Club, which has much fewer locations and, well, famously owned by Walmart as well. But a lot of people, no one really thinks Sam's Club is better than Costco. Costco has the better variety. Their white labeling or their brand, Kirkland, is just such a great value. It's just overwhelmingly better than Sam's Club. So there's not, I mean, you could debate if Amazon's a competitor. Amazon is poised to actually go past Walmart for total sales this year. But for bulk groceries, there's really not much competition. So I don't know how effective or realistic a protest would be. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. And going over to the political part podcast, you have Ayanna Pressley is calling Iowa too white and bad, which, yeah, it's just more race baiting. Of course, she doesn't want to talk about the substance, but I'm sure she'll get some clicks, votes, and donations because of this. Now, it should do a visual warning. It is visually very disgusting, but nevertheless, well, it's also coming from me as saying something. But you're about to see Ayanna Pressley, who I don't think is related to Elvis Presley. I don't think. Their hair is a little bit different. Now, this comes with things to end wokeness, in which he says, quote, Congressman Ayanna Pressley goes on a racist rant about Iowa being too white. Which, I usually give people accolades for suiting up. In this case, I don't know.
Like Iowa. Governor Reynolds, let's learn more about the state. Do you know what percentage of Iowans are white and what percentage are black?
I don't know the exact percentages, no. We're by far a larger percentage of white population.
That's correct. Iowa is 90% white and only 4.5% black. So that is drastically different from the national population. So when Republicans suggest Iowa should be a national model, they're advocating for a government that doesn't reflect our country. So let's talk about what this model.
Very mentally vacuous. Again, going straight to race. You know what is very commendable about Iowa? For decades, they have had one of the highest literacy rates in all the United States. They're also great culture, great people, great economy. I mean, shoot, they make so much corn there, they hardly know what to do with it. Well, unfortunately, they make high fructose corn syrup and put it into all the food and crap and get government subsidies, but another topic for another time, perhaps. I'm sure ethanol will be great for our cars next year. Ha, spoiler, it's not, it won't. But nevertheless, she immediately goes to race. But Iowa's a pretty small government. It's a red state. Maybe that's why she hates it too. But they also have a great couple companies that are headquartered there. Great university. Granted, I'm obviously a little biased. I went to University of Iowa. Go Hawks. I probably should have thrown on my Texas Iowa hat. Well, a cowboy hat with the Iowa logo that I sewed on there. Wow, over a decade ago plus. Time flies way too quick. But yeah, of course, she has to boil it down to race, which, again, I think a couple last elections have showed Americans really don't give a damn about that. One of the biggest forerunners of the Republican nominee was Vivek Ramaswamy, who, spoiler, his parents are from India. Yet, he had one of the best articulations and ideologies that correlated with the founding fathers. I mean, without any political experience, he quickly gained almost, I think he peaked at about 7 to 8% of the polls, which, for someone with no political background, that's huge. And Vivek actually did pretty good in Iowa. Trump obviously won in the end, but yeah, she wants to boil it down to race, which I personally think capitalism defeated racism decades ago, with only a couple a-holes left in the United States who are actually racist. I think overwhelmingly companies will pick the best out there, and they're going to again, the dumbest thing to do as a business is to alienate people based on things they can't control. Smart businesses, and I would argue moral businesses, will take every single resume possible so you can get the best candidate, bar none. As soon as you start alienating or discriminating or saying we're not going to accept some resume because of X, Y, Z, in terms of things they can't control, you're going to lose out on that sample size. So that's why I personally think that's why but I digress. Now, this went moderately viral, about 823,000 views and 15,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Elon Musk simply having an exclamation point, getting 3.2 thousand likes. You also have Cool Christian Engineer, which A+ for marketing. You know exactly what he does for a living. Although I'm a little disappointed he does not have a cross emoji. Perhaps one of the few times the emoji might be appropriate. I say that because he has the American flag emoji. That's A+. And he also has electric lightning bolt. So that's pretty cool. And he is based. Why not add that cross? But I partially digress. Now, based electrician says, quote, why is Charles Barkley lecturing us about people's skin color in Iowa? Getting 756 likes. Jeez Louise. Got pretty popular, that post. Paul Zuzupa says, quote, remind us again who commits a disproportionate amount of crime in the United States, getting 419 likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, Ayanna Pressley is a racist trash, getting 3.9 thousand likes. American Papa Bear says, quote, not as white as the glare coming off that bald head of hers, getting 764 likes. Cash Loren simply says, fighting back is forcing Democrats to expose themselves, getting 121 likes. AKA says, what a racist, getting 229 likes. Democrat Media TM says, quote, what's the Jim from The Office parody where he's, again, the whiteboard, says, I refuse to be lectured about racism by someone who hates white people. And that got 251 likes. Crazy Vibe says she has Trump derangement syndrome. And it's the girl that cried like a child in 2016 when Trump won. There's like 20 of her face plastered on the choirs. They got 31 likes. Going down more and more. Henny says, quote, is she saying black and brown folk are not allowed to move to Iowa? Congressman Pressley, your state black and brown population is 7.1%, well below the national average of 13.7%. So calling out anyone below the average makes you a hypocrite. Getting 113 likes. Patriot Gal 480 says, quote, does she realize that black people in America make 14.4% of the U.S. population? According to the most recent estimates from the U.S. Census Bureau, in 2023, approximately 14.4% of the U.S. population identified as black or African American alone or in a combination with another race. That got 148 likes. Mike Ray also says, quote, the Democrat Party is full of race baiting, America hating black women. Couldn't see the E there for a second there. And they'll continue to lose because of it, getting 392 likes. I think any politician left or right who focuses exclusively on race is going to lose, because I think Americans are sick of it. We just want to literally get our country out of debt, get people well-paying jobs and affordable. That's people want, afford a good living. Have a safe neighborhood. Scrolling down more and more. David Sullivan, pronouns appropriately named Prosecute Fauci, saying, quote, I will not be lectured by racism by someone who hates white people. And there's a compilation of photos that says hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, which, yeah, it's true, getting 42 likes. Alpha Liger says, quote, I mean, it's Iowa. It's like complaining that Florida is too Cuban. And it sounds racist, doesn't it? Representative Pressley getting 208 likes, which, yeah, there's a disproportionate amount of my family members that live in Miami and Florida. Though, spoiler alert, we actually came here on a plane when Fidel took over. We didn't swim here, believe it or not. One of the last ones out. Val says there's no place for racism in the halls of Congress, getting 362 likes. Yep. Let's see. Elena says, quote, looks like the only thing Democrats have is a race card. Good luck with that. And it says, America is not divided by race, gender, color, or sexual orientation. America is divided into white, wise people and fools. And fools divide themselves by race, gender, color, or sexual orientation, getting 227 likes, which, yep, say what you want about Trump, the MAGA party, that was a unification party. Tulsi Gabbard, she came over, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. How many people joined the party? Pretty much anyone who is even remotely in the middle and live on the left. Yeah, I would argue Trump's much more diverse in terms of political affiliations. Nate Hochman says, quote, if I was 100% black, Presley would never complain about it. It doesn't look like the rest of the country. They don't care about diversity. They just don't like white people. Getting 1,000 likes. World Hall of Fun says, okay, racist. And it's the Jim Mean from The Office, but his face is replaced by, it's a Jim from what's it called? The whiteboard? I just did a second ago. The whiteboard meme was MLK Jr., Martin Luther King Jr.'s face pasted onto Jim's. It says, calling someone privileged because they are white is judging someone by the color of their skin, getting 144 likes, which, yeah, if he were to come back today, he'd be sorely disappointed how much America has fallen in terms of, again, kind of like he said he believes, treat all men equally. Don't treat them differently because of their race. And yet that's what so many people want to do in the United States, which is quite disappointing to say the least. So again, as crazy as it sounds, she'll probably get some likes, clicks, and probably political donations because of this. But yeah, we'll see if she has any negative ramifications, but can't think they'll maybe she'll get some more donation and campaign funds because of this. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Ilhan Omar giving a seminar to illegals on how to evade deportation, which some might call treason, but we'll see if she ever gets prosecuted since, well, past couple of years, only one side of the political aisle had been held to any modicum of accountability, and were also framed. But yeah, she's literally giving them advice on how to dodge the law. Which, she has a long track record allegedly marrying her brother, so she's not foreign to breaking the law and taboos. Now, this comes with thanks to Elon Musk as well as Ian Miles Chong. Ian Miles Chong says, quote, Ilhan Omar is conducting seminars for Somalians who are living illegally in the U.S. without documentation, providing guidance on how to evade deportation, which, yeah, Minnesota is so weak and pathetic. They were conquered by Somalians years ago when Tim Walz, perhaps the most anemic, weak man in history, they redesigned their flag so it looks like a rudimentary crayon drawing of the Somalian flag, which is already a rudimentary, pathetic flag. It used to have a beautiful Minnesota flag, but no, after almost over half a century, they decided, oh yeah, we're going to bastardize it and make it a rudimentary crayon-like quality of a flag. Now, Elon also reposted this saying, quote, she's breaking the law literally outright, which, I mean, that's what they do. And for the record, when I say they, I mean Democrats or leftists. At least she has some nice towels behind her.
xildhibaanad ilhaan cumar oo dhowaan la hadashay saxaafadda ayaa tala bixin siisay dadka sharciga aan haysan ee ku nool dalkan.
waxaan ula talinayaa dadka Soomaalida ah
haddii I'm advising the Somalian people that if ICE attempts to question you,
maxaa la dhahaa ii sheeg ICE ay isku dayaan inay ku su'aalaan
you're not obligated to answer their questions.
maku qasban tihid inaad su'aalahooda aad ka jawaabtid.
Just state that you're advised by a lawyer not to answer questions.
waxaad dhihi kartaa lawyer aan ii advice garay inaanan ku jawaabin.
Disclosure of your name, immigration status, and mode of entry is not mandatory.
ma aha magacaaga iyo sharciga ku joogtid iyo waxaas oo dhan iisaa ku imaataybo inaad kala hadashid. marka
she says learn the laws and prepare yourself.
sharciyada iskuna diyaari
and refrain from disclosing information that you would prefer them not to know.
aad maxaa la dhahaa ii sheeg aadan dadkaaniiti aadan u sheegin information aadan rabin inay ogaadaan.
Again, some languages are just inherently funny. Let me know if you think differently in the comments. I mean, obviously my family's mom's from, the whole family's from Cuba, so I know un hablo un poco español. Very little Espanol. I know a little bit of a couple languages, but yeah, who knows? I mean, that might very well be the official language of Minnesota in a couple of months with the immigration rate, but nevertheless, this went pretty viral. Got 60.6 million views as well as 503,000 likes. Now, granted, that could be perhaps some people thought this was a rap video and they're tuning in to, dance to it. That might be part of the reason there's so many views as well. It might not just people looking into the video for this original substance. So that might be a contributing factor. I'm not sure about that. Now, one of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, why hasn't she been arrested yet? Getting 21,000 likes. We also have Libercat Media TM says, quote, remove her from Congress, strip her of her citizenship, which she obtained by marrying her brother, and deport her back to Somalia for this act of treason. And all while she stood up in front of USAID yesterday accusing others of treason, getting 2.8 thousand likes, which, yeah, there's a lot of allegations on her past marriage. Libercat Media TM also says, quote, it seems that the Congresswoman is violating federal law by telling illegals how to evade ICE, which is her aiding and abetting criminal illegals, and for the Treasonous Act, she must be removed from Congress, stripped of her citizenship, and deported back to Somalia, getting 5.7 thousand likes, which, I don't know. In terms of the U.S., our founding fathers, we do have provision against cruel and unusual punishment. I can't but think going to Somalia would probably be one. I don't think people go to vacation there too often. Yeah. AKA also says she also married her brother for citizenship, getting 3.9 thousand likes. Maga Kitty says arrest her, getting 133 likes. Ian Miles Strong says, quote, if she were Republican, they would censor her over this, getting 2.5 thousand likes, which, yes, that's true, but Republicans are mostly rhinos, pejoratively known as Republicans in name only. So I see so little, if any, negative ramifications against any Democrats. So we'll see if they actually do anything. I'm a little disappointed. I'll say the alleged Planet of Memes. They have been doing a lot of memes, but they haven't been posting text. Now, I'll say this alleged Planet of Memes, since there's no meme here. He simply says, deport Ilhan Omar, getting 912 likes. Let's see. Is anyone sticking up for her? Again, she gets reelected overwhelmingly in Minnesota. So there should be maybe some positive comments here. Let's see here. Someone by the name of Stop Socialist Tyranny says, quote, Elon Musk is right. Ilhan Omar is breaking the law by helping undocumented immigrants evade deportation. This is a clear example of how the left's disregard for the rule of law and their willingness to undermine our immigration system. getting 3.9 thousand likes. You also have Femology saying HIAS conducts trainings on YouTube, getting 12 likes. Let's see. Cole, I'm not purposely trying to butcher this pronunciation. Cole Ashtami Bangandi says, quote, this POS is used to breaking the law. Arrest her. Her title of Congresswoman matters not. Now, it says from jail cell to Congress, and it says arrested 23 times, daughter of Somalian terrorist, committed marriage and immigration fraud, ISIS and Al-Qaeda sympathizer and Hamas sympathizer, making a mockery of the U.S. government. And those are all allegations against her, getting 2.5 thousand likes. Let's see. Is anyone sticking up for her? Amy Bill says she literally took a terrorist class. And it's her. I mean, I don't know where she is, but it's a black and white photo of her. Looks like she's cocking an AK-47, which I don't know. That's, I mean, that is probably one of the few base things you can do. I mean, in terms of a photograph of you with a gun. I mean, I'm all about diversity. The AR-15 is a beautiful implement of engineering by Eugene Stoner, but gotta admire Mikhail Kalashnikov. I mean, who doesn't like a good AK-47? I mean, I always say, why not both? The best of both worlds. Just embrace it. It's cool to have both. You have 5.56 and 7.62 by 39. It's good to have diversity in the armory. You also have James Madison saying, quote, both rich enough they can't be bought. It's a picture of Trump and Elon getting 1.5 thousand likes. Stella says, Ilhan Omar belongs in prison. She violates her oath of the Constitution. It really is that simple. Getting 869 likes, which, yeah, she sure seems to be doing so. Again, let me know in the comments. Do you think, oh, one more. This meme is too good to not say. And it's I don't know what you call it, the questioning, what dinosaur is that? The raptor? The questioning raptor meme. This is coming from Trump Army, in which says, quote, how many other countries tax their citizens and send money to the United States? Getting 1.6 thousand likes. Great question. Pretty much none of them. But all our tax dollars go to pretty much seemingly every country on the planet and every citizen on the planet except for us. I mean, I would love to see where my federal tax dollars go every year, because in terms of direct positive impact on my life, I'm not seeing it. And that meme got 1.6 thousand likes. So we'll see if Republicans try to censor her, if she actually gets tried for treason or has any negative ramifications, or this rare word for leftists, accountability. We'll see if she actually has to take any of that into account or actually takes accountability for anything in her life. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have a Toyota recall due to bad welds, which, yeah, not great for what is the largest automobile manufacturer on the planet. And they're known for really a couple things, one being reliability, which not good to keep having these recalls, Toyota. Now, this comes to us thanks to NerdJersey.com, which I didn't even know they had the internet over there. I thought Chris Christie might have eaten it by now, but nevertheless, they actually have an article by NewsJersey.com, specifically Victoria, who's a writer over there, in which she says, quote, Toyota, Honda are recalling more than 325,000 cars. Bring your dealership to an part of the dealership ASAP if you have one of these vehicles. There you can see the iconic Toyota logo there. Now, they say that, quote, Toyota is recalling 1,716 Toyota and Lexus models with model years ranging from 2023 to 2024. Now, they note that an electrical connection in the steering column's spiral cable assembly may not have been welded properly. This can cause it to disconnect and deactivate the driver's airbag, which, yeah, of all the things that can go wrong in a car, heated seats, not the end of the world. Cooled seats not working, might be a little uncomfortable in the summer, but it's okay. Maybe the radio isn't working too well. Maybe it's only tuned into Ilhan Omar's speeches. Bad for your earballs, yeah, but, you can still get to work. Not having airbags at work? Yeah, and it's even worse because it's your fault. This is a subcontractor, it seems like. Yeah, even worse. Now they say, quote, it could deactivate the driver's airbag. Jeez Louise. And they have to clarify, if the airbags don't inflate during a crash, it can increase the risk of injury, which, who would have thunk it? Which, no duh. They note that owners will be affected vehicles will receive notification letters in the mail by March 30th. Or just tune into the show, since we're usually a month or two ahead of these notifications being mailed out. Now, they note that if we're going through the model numbers, but if you want to call Toyota's customer service number, you can call 1-800-331-4331. Again, Toyota's customer help number is 1-800-331-4331. And it covers the following vehicles: 2023 to 2024 Lexus NX, 2023 Lexus RX, 2023 Toyota Corolla, which, yeah, of all the vehicles you want to take care of and really do high quality control, you want to be the Corolla. While it might not be an impressive vehicle on its face, it is impressive because it is the most popular vehicle ever sold since the dawn of time. They've sold more units than any other model manufacturer. It's very impressive. So many units of the Corolla. And now you have a recall against your iconic vehicle. Not iconic, sporty, although the Corolla GR, but, They also note that the 2023 Toyota Corolla Cross, as well as the 2023 Toyota Cross Hybrid, are being recalled. Additionally, the Toyota 2023 Highlander, the 2023 Toyota Highlander Hybrid, and the 2023 Toyota Tacoma, which is famed and glory as being the last stick shift truck you can buy in North America, which, shoot, if I won the lottery, I'd probably buy just for that because, well, you could also get it in green. It's kind of fun. But yeah, usually the issue with these recalls from automobile manufacturers is between 10 and 30,000 individual components when you manufacture a vehicle. Many of them are subcontracted out to major manufacturers or subcontractors like Bosch, and Toyota would be Denso, another famous one. But yeah, I can understand, maybe you don't examine your third-party components as scrutiny, you don't look as much as you should. But to have a weld that's, coming out of your factory that, again, this is a very important safety-related one when your whole brand is about reliability and durability. Gotta say, Toyota is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.